Hello everyone, welcome to another video where learning is fun and interactive. So in today's discussion, we will explore about the second language acquisition by Vygotsky Sociocultural theory. But first, let us know our objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to define Vygotsky's sociocultural theory and explain its key concepts in relation to second language acquisition. Apply the principles of sociocultural theory by collaborating with peers and role-play activities, demonstrating how interaction and scaffolding help learners acquire a second language, and show appreciation for cooperation, respect for peer contributions, and openness to feedback, recognizing the value of social interaction in supporting one another's language learning journey. So what is language? Language is a social concept that is developed through social interactions. According to Vygotsky, a 20th century Soviet psychologist, language acquisition involves not only a child's exposure to words, but also an interdependent process of growth between thought and language. What is second language acquisition? Second language acquisition, or the SLA, sometimes called second language learning, otherwise referred to as language 2 acquisition, is the process of learning a language other than one's native language. SLA research spans cognitive, social, and linguistic perspectives. Cognitive approaches investigate memory and attention processes. Sociocultural theories emphasize the role of social interaction and immersion, and linguistic studies examine the innate and learned aspects of language. What is sociocultural theory? Sociocultural theory was originally coined by Brett in 1985 and derived from the work of Lev Vygotsky and the Vygotsky Circle in Moscow from the 1920s onwards. Sociocultural theory is the notion that human mental function is from participating cultural mediation integrated into social activities. The theory argues that the development of human cognitive and higher mental functions comes from social interactions, and that through participation in social activities requiring cognitive and communicative functions, individuals are drawn into the use of these functions in ways that nurture and scaffold them. Learning occurs within the zone of proximal development, where language progresses from social to speech to private speech and eventually to inner speech. The theory's key constructs are mediation, regulation, internalization, the ZPD, verbal thought, and activity theory. What is mediation? Language learning is a socially mediated process. Mediation is the principal construct that unites all varieties of SCT and is rooted in the observation that humans do not act directly on the world, rather their cognitive and material activities are mediated by symbolic tools as well as by physical tools. Mediation is a fundamental principle, and language is a cultural artifact that mediates social and psychological activities. Second language acquisition is a process of mediation in which there are three kinds of mediation. They are other mediations, self-mediation, and the mediation of cultural artifacts. What is regulation? In sociocultural theory, regulation refers to how children gradually learn to control their own activities through language. At first, their actions are guided by others, but over time, they develop the ability to self-regulate through participation in social and physical activities. What is ZPD? The zone of proximal development refers to the gap between a child's actual developmental level, shown by what they can do independently, and their potential level, which they can achieve with guidance from a more capable person. Verbal thought and SLA, or second language acquisition. In sociocultural theory, language acquisition concerns language function development, mental function development, and the combination of language and thought. Generally speaking, it includes the process that the low-level external or social speech develops into the highest level, inner speech or verbal thought. Firstly, people should have the elementary level of language function and mental function, which come from the phylogeny development and the neural system. Secondly, language and thought can be combined in a certain condition. At this time, speech is mediated by thought and thought is mediated by speech. Sociocultural theory also strongly claims that the process of language acquisition is the process in which an individual's external speech is gradually internalized and combined with thought by means of communicative activities. The detailed steps are from external speech without thought to egocentric speech, beginning to combining with thought, and to inner speech, becoming verbal thought. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory offers a rich and dynamic understanding of how second language are acquired. It shows that language learning is not just about input and cognitive processing, but deeply noted in social, cultural interaction, culture, and mediated learning. Vygotsky's sociocultural theory holds that social interactions and cooperative learning are paramount in constructing both cognitive and emotional images of reality, just as Vygotsky's claim that children's thinking and meaning-making is socially constructed and emerge out of their social interactions with their environment. That's all for today's learning. Hope you learned something today. Thank you.